Audience, welcome. Thank you for your time. You know, as you all know, this is a 3-part series on the importance of counseling and specifically the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center and how incredible this wonderful center is. Not only does it honor and keep our beautiful Nick Finnegan at the front of our thoughts and prayers. It honors his family, who has so generously given of all their time, talent, and treasure, and all the loved ones extended beyond that into reaching thousands
Yes.
that need help. So we thank you for your time being here and learning more about the center. Today, we have the extreme pleasure of meeting with precious Anna Crain. And Anna is the lead outreach counselor. Hopefully, I'm saying that
You
correctly
got it.
for the center. And we were talking a little bit pre-show. And y'all, she's just come off a meeting with 88 third graders about bullying. I'm going to get her to tell us a little bit more about that. I'm intrigued
Yes.
with how you hold 88 third graders attention. And
Well, if
please, what in the world?
I will say, I was telling Carol earlier, but I feel super comfortable in that environment because I was a school counselor, I was a teacher before that, I was a school administrator. So that's an environment I feel really great in. But I would say the best thing that I did today was we were doing a lesson about bullying. And so I connected that to what their superpowers are so that we could use our superpowers to fight against bullying. And I introduced myself by telling them that my superpower as a counselor is to be a listener. And I was going to be really generous with them today and give them some of my power as listeners so that we needed to turn our listening ears on. And they were so precious and all like went and turned their ears on, and they were so engaged from that. And I asked them, some of them, like, what's your superpower? And they said, I'm a big sister. I'm a really good big sister. I'm a really good friend. And one little boy, he was like, I can do my math homework really fast.
It is
So
a superpower.
yeah, I thought so too. I was like, I surely can. But yeah, so I think it's just using those old teacher techniques to get them listening. And then honestly, the kids want to be sweet to each other. They want to be kind friends. So it's really just, talking to them about it and giving them the tools so that they can feel empowered to go and be a better part of their community because they really want to be successful and they want to be kind and respectful. It's just, sometimes they just need a little reminder.
Oh my goodness, I have so many questions. And I know the audience does as well. Um, First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your vocation as a teacher, as an educator, as a counselor. In my humble opinion, education is the key to success.
Yes.
And gosh, the fact that we've started this conversation out talking about superpowers and bullying, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Not that quick, actually. The kiddos that you find that you've worked with or that you meet or that you hear of that are doing the bullying,
hmm
is it learned at home?
Well, I think that there's like a few different answers there. So I have always worked with kids and families. That's actually my specialty, and it's my specialty as a counselor. And so, yeah, I will say that so often what they're experiencing at home and within their systems, right? Like whatever their system is, it does impact their behavior, and that's very real. And then there's other pieces of, so it's not necessarily at home, it could be at school. Somebody's being mean to them and being mean to them and being mean to them. And so then their response is what is learned, of course, but it's to be mean back and then to be mean to other people because that feeling becomes safe to them, right? I think that sometimes if the hard emotions, if the heavy emotions are what feel safe to you, then that's how you behave, right? And so Yeah, I do think it's learned at home, but also their behaviors and also sometimes our brains are just wired a little bit differently, and the way we respond to what's going on in our heads is either anger or misbehavior. And so, helping support these kiddos through that too is really important because sometimes, you could have the best parents in the entire world and you could have a kid who's misbehaving, right? It doesn't always happen that these kids come from really hard homes. Yes, that is definitely the case sometimes, but sometimes just the way that our brains are wired or a reaction to something that happened impacts the way that we behave too. And that's the same for adults.
That's kind of so that's actually nice to hear because, so I think so often I can only speak for myself. I feel like it's learned behavior. So they don't know other options. They think that's correct. And
Yeah.
so I am happy to hear because I guess what you're saying is that can be a learned behavior, however, not a practiced behavior. Sometimes
Right.
not repeated, they withdraw instead of become assertive.
Right, right. Or, some kids just they have something that's going on in their head. They are bothered by something that might not bother you or I, or you or me, but but they still have a reaction to it. And
Yeah.
so it's managing that response and helping them understand what's happening in their brain so that they like what that emotion is so that then they can manage it better or feel better about it.
Okay, I'm glad. And I didn't mean, well, actually, I was excited to ask the question, but what I really want to talk about is as the lead outreach counselor,
Yeah.
you're always in the field. And are you going to places that do not have counseling within the schools? Are y'all very, I guess you have to hand pick where you go because limited resource of you.
Well, I mean, that has been a fascinating piece of the pie. So I started here 3 years ago, and I was originally the only one doing outreach. And just within the capacity of like, I didn't have the capacity to serve everyone who I was making the contacts. And then I kept saying, hey, we need more people. We need more people. We need more people. And so now there's actually three of us. So I do, I work 30 hours of my week is out in the field. And then I serve 5 clients here on the, at the counseling center. And so most of my time is out and about. And I think one of the coolest things about what I get to do is that like we serve all different kinds of kids and all different kinds of adults. And so one day for me might look like today I was with third graders all day, all morning and having a great time with them. But they were Yes Prep public schools kids, so not not your average kids in the area that we're in, but amazing kids. And tomorrow I'll be at St. Luke's Day School presenting to parents. And then Thursday I have a group for preschool kids. So every day is different and they're all in different communities. And so we really are fulfilling the mission of NFCC through outreach by serving all different kinds of people in all different zip codes. And we're really serving Houston. And so that's something I'm super proud of because it depends on the day and it depends on the school and it depends on so we serve parents and we serve corporations. And so it really could be any different thing. But with the acknowledgement that everyone needs mental
Yeah.
health tools because
Mm.
we all have baggage. Like, even if you have the best life in the ever, you still have hardship and challenges. And any good counselor would say to you that we have to meet you where you are. So even though, some of the kids I worked with today, maybe their hardship is more extreme than the say some of the kids I might work with tomorrow that are in this area. That doesn't mean their hard doesn't feel hard to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so
They're
important.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so important for us to give people, kids and adults, to give them the tools to manage their heart and to manage their days when they are feeling, a little out of sorts so that, they can be productive members of society, right? That's the end goal, and to be kind to one another.
It's so cool. You talk about the diversity, if you will, of those that you all serve.
Yes.
I think that's so cool that you take a cross section and it's everyone.
Yes.
And I think that your point that everyone has hardships, I think that's true too. And I think that so often, maybe like I did earlier in my question, are most of the bullies from families where they've been bullied. So, that's kind of that was a judgmental question, which is why I wanted to ask it. I don't want to not understand that sometimes a bully is a bully, right?
Well, and I think that that's so important, and I don't feel like it's judgmental. I think it's just the reality of thought, right? Like I think that sometimes it's just also what we're exposed to, and what our everyday lives sometimes we're like, well, my family, I often thought growing up, which is this is so insane to think, but I often thought like I have this really great family. My parents really love each other. I was like, oh, people who are divorced, like when I was little, I was like so confused by that like concept.
Yeah.
Like when my friend's parents split up, I was like so confused that that would happen. And then as an adult, I was like, oh, this actually happens a lot and this isn't that uncommon and there are lots of different reasons. But like my exposure to that was minimal because that was not what I grew up with. And
That's
so, we have to think about like, of course we're all carrying bias and the way that we think about different things is not bad. It's just what we have experienced. And
that's
so understanding that and accepting that and some of us are more privileged than others like I was growing up. Like I just was like, "Oh, all families love each other." And so I think it's just we have to understand, recognize that that might not be the truth, but that it's okay no matter what like life looks like for everyone.
well, and the other thing about that, the point being everyone needs help. It does not matter
Yes.
if you come from a privileged,
Right.
modest background.
Hmm.
That is not, you know, everyone has the same health issues. Everyone has the same
Right.
mental ill health issues. These things are not discriminatory.
Oh, definitely not.
And I actually, one of the coolest things I think about Nick Finnegan Counseling Center is that to spread the word and to normalize what is already normal,
Yes.
but
Oh
no
my
one
gosh,
talked
yes.
about. It is normal. It
It
is
is so normal.
normal because it's just like people need. And I really have come to think about counseling like going to get your checkup.
Yes.
It's preventative.
Yes.
So
100%.
let's build these relationships prior to the need.
100%. And that's one of the reasons that outreach is so important and why I think that it's taken off the way that it has is because people are showing up to our talks. People are coming, they're telling their friends because you could think, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm going to go hear about this topic because I just want to support my kids better." Well, then, next thing you know, there's 76 parents in a room at a school who are all hearing the same thing about how to manage their own stressors so that they can be a better role model for their kids. I left a school talk recently and a dad said, I've never really thought about the fact that my kids get angry the same way that I get angry. And that
Wow.
that frustrates me, but I'm modeling that anger, you know? And he was like, it literally, I have a sixth grader. I've never thought about that until today. And I thought that alone, like that awareness is going to make him better. It's going to make him better at work. It's going to make him a better husband. It'll make him a better dad. And so like it's one drop in the bucket to come to an hour-long talk, but he's going to leave little drops all along the way in all these lives now. And so outreach has the power to do that because it's not this like hard heavy conversations for every single week. It's just maybe a one-time experience, maybe a group or something like that. But it is just this exposure to mental health services in a like a very digestible way.
Very cool. I mean, we're talking about schools right now. My own
Yeah.
experience years ago, I'll never forget. I went to it may have been required. I can't brag on myself up and going, but for whatever reason, I went to this wonderful talk, and the counselor was sharing the importance of when someone apologizes, the difference in
Mm.
saying thank you or, oh, it's not necessary. And
Yes.
explaining that saying thank you is honoring them for apologizing, number one, and
Yes,
honoring yourself that maybe it was something they did need to apologize for,
absolutely.
not disregarding the apology. I can promise you, I mean, it was quite some time ago, but since that day, I have thought about apologies completely differently
Yeah.
and shared that with others. So that's just such a small example of the difference that you and your fellow counselors make. Um, and I love it so very much. One of the things I want the audience to think about
Hmm.
is the importance, if you're a parent, if you a grandparent, if you are really and truly, let's think about it. If you work, if you are in a place of work, how much do you want everyone to get a little bit better about communication, about
Right.
accepting mental health? If you, everything about it matters.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so often people are not going to ask for the help.
No, no.
And if the more we talk about this and the more we support, Anna and others at the counseling center getting out there and sharing this information, the more we share, the more we know, and then the more gets shared and the more others know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's exactly that. And that's why I think I love this work so much is that we truly are s- we're, I feel like I grew up with the saying like rising water uh keeps
I'll
all boats
share.
afloat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel like it's like we are the power of the water, right? Like we can help support each other and keep everyone afloat. Like I think that the mental health support is so significant and we know that it makes people understand themselves, be able to process their own emotions, and then it creates more positive interactions, right?
Yeah.
And so, like I was saying earlier, everybody has something. Everybody's carrying some level of baggage, whether or not it seems like a significant trauma or experience or relationship break or change. Like we all experience a lot of stuff. And so it's okay to say like, hey, I feel like I might need to talk about this with someone who isn't just a friend, but is
Yeah.
somebody who is a trained professional and has an unbiased opinion. I think that that's the big part of counseling or mental health that people don't think about that much. Like if we go to, I feel like some people say like, I have a great support system, so I don't need counseling. Well, yeah, that's wonderful. First of all, like praise the Lord for the good relationships. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
hugely important. But to have somebody who doesn't know, the other people involved who can say, "Hey, let me think about this for how your brain is working and how it's impacting your body and your spirituality and your experiences." That doesn't know you, that's unbiased is huge, and can really help.
Huge. Let's just think about this. The entire world experienced the pandemic.
Yes.
Every single solitary individual had some sort of a reaction and or processing of that experience.
Right. Right.
Every And I know I had spoken to another one of your amazing counselors. That has been a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it's really impacted us.
No discrimination.
Right,
If we're all talking to one another, not trained professionals,
right.
we may not be making that situation better. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Well, it's collective grief, right? Like it's a collective grief of missing a few years of our lives, whether or not, like, no matter how you handled it, right? Like it's still collective grief and it's a collective experience. So yes, exactly. That is such a good example of, or in Houston, like we have natural disasters regularly, you know, that is a huge collective trauma, collective experience that impacts so many people. And I think it's always I really focused when I was in graduate school on like crisis support because I just recognized I was probably going to move back to Houston and that is such a big part of our lives. Like every few years we have some sort of crisis and that is support that I think that all people could need when we go through something that's a major collective event like a hurricane or the pandemic or really anything like that. And so yeah, I think it's there's just so many reasons why it's a good thing to check in on yourself and the people you love.
It's unbelievable, and of course, we all face maybe someone not being healthy or,
Right.
the loss, certainly for, this earthly life and all the different ways that that affects, I mean, grief, fear, all the
Right.
things. So,
Right.
again, I just appreciate what you do and what the center
Oh.
does so very much. I wanted to share with the, audience a little bit about when they are, there's so many amazing causes and there's
Mm.
so many amazing charities and just everyone needs help. I just want to share with the audience, I want them to realize, which is kind of, unless we've been there and done
Yeah.
that and have a similar story, the effect that money, regardless of the amount, this treasure that is shared, if they if you could say the difference that those dollars, how that impacts so many other people, how the center continues it, I'm amazed the outreach and the numbers of what the collective, it's not an enormous number of people
Yeah.
that are right there at the center itself, but
Yeah.
how the team, this beautiful collective group, works and grows blood, sweat, and tears to reach as many people as possible to make such a difference, not only in individual lives, but in couples and families, in the
Mhm.
community, in schools, in the city, on every level. What a big difference those dollars make.
Oh, well, absolutely. Actually, like right before this, so I was working with those third graders, and this is a great example. And it seems so menial, y'all, but it is so not. Like every single kid today got a sticker, and it was a world sticker, and it has arms around the world on, and it says, "You're not alone," as especially when we work together. And every single one of those third graders got one of those stickers, and it says Nick Finnegan Counseling Center on it. And then we used markers and we used strips of construction paper and all of these things. And when I got back to the center, we were talking about like, okay, what's the budget? We need to buy new construction paper. We need to make sure that every one of these kids still gets a sticker because I am not joking. As soon as I gave them the stickers, they were so proud of themselves because they had to participate to get a sticker. And I was like, put it on your lunchbox. And they're gonna have those things to remind them about the stuff that they learned today. But all of those things cost us money, right? And I think that that's hugely important to recognize that even though it seems so small, that one strip of construction paper that they wrote their pledge to not be a bully on, that
Sure.
costs money.
Yes.
And this semester alone, so just from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year, and we serve families, we serve individuals, we serve groups. We've served almost 2,000 people just this semester alone. And that's individuals. And those kids and adults have all walked away from our talks with some sort of marketing material. Yes, of course, to spread the word and the good news about NFCC, but also so that they have a reminder about what they learned so that they can take that with them and carry with them. And all of those things cost money. And obviously, our time costs money. And so the power of these experiences that these people are having and the little reminders that they take with them really are those drops in the bucket, right? And so it is one of those things where we are a business still. Like if it were up to me, I'm like, everybody come, everybody learn.
Sure.
But we are. And so it is those little things do have such an impact. And so the, the treasure that anyone could give, right? It's not like we need everybody to give those huge donations. We need some people to just say, hey, I'll buy all the stickers for the year, and that is this lump sum. But it's
And that is a very big deal. Back to that one little nugget of information I got in regards to an apology.
yeah,
That was, I'm just going to tell you, let's think about that. She is now 27. She was 14. I mean, the number of times I have explained with
yeah,
kiddos and grandchildren and friends, and I've talked about that. It's unbelievable.
yeah.
Um, the cool thing about the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center is that accepts insurance,
Yes.
payment is on a sliding scale,
Yes.
and even with somebody with all the money in the world, it is the most reasonable,
Oh,
almost
so reasonable.
almost
Yeah, I think it's
reasonable for
it's
the counseling center.
yeah,
But it's so fabulous because y'all make it affordable for everyone.
100%, 100%. And I think that accessibility is something that's such a gift to people. And we have people say that to us all the time. I was working with a kiddo and the mom shared with me this is the only place that I was able to come that I could find the right services for my child and that I can pay for it because y'all are giving me so much support. And that is huge. And that
Yeah.
kid, I've now worked with him for a while and I'm so proud of the way that he's grown and be able to, I think it goes back to like, even if people aren't choosing it for themselves,
Yeah.
a hard kid in a classroom impacts your well-behaved kid, right? And so serving that kid is really important and serving that parent is really important. And obviously, like I work with mostly kids and families again, like I said, so that's my scope of this, but it really is amazing how the right services at the right cost for a family can really change not only that individual, but that family and the people that they're around and their system, like I was talking about earlier.
Well, let's just go to this one statement. I'm just sick about it. I know we're running out of time, but something you just said, having accessible, affordable help for a kiddo in your kiddo's classroom
Hmm.
affects your kiddo and that entire classroom's
Right,
experience.
right.
That is a direct result of every dollar we're able to share.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I just once again, I'm so glad you said that. I don't think I've ever explained it that. And, we say individuals, couples, families,
Yeah.
schools, but, and I think that's the first time I've thought about it that way. That kiddo getting help affects the other kiddos in the class. I don't
Right,
think I've ever
right.
expressed it that way. So thank you for that. I
Of
love the
course.
clarity. Just one more, the more specific we can share about how important mental health is
Yeah.
and how everyone needs it. And this can be preventative. And the way you all are going into the schools and the corporations. I love that example. You
Yeah.
much of our audience is, many entrepreneurs and people.
Yes.
I mean, this is a big deal.
Oh yeah. Well, and I had the opportunity to go talk to Frost Bank. Their new,
Oh,
some of their new employees. I don't even know what it is so not my world, but I don't even know what their job title was, but it didn't matter. But we were talking about managing stress and overwhelm and worry and it was so important for them to have those conversations and hear that other people in the room were having some of the same experiences, even though they do have these incredible jobs and, they're, and I just thought like this type of community and this type of time talking about, again, what's hard for us normalizes it in a way that makes it feel safe to talk about and allows us the time together to build on our skills to feel better when we are stressed or worried or, and I think and that's all because somebody heard a talk and they thought, "Oh, this is really important for me to share with my employees." And I feel like that's the thing. It's all this trickle down of
Ah,
you experience something that changes you like you did with the apology, and then you say, "I want other people to know about that. I want that to enrich other people's lives because it helped me so much." And so that's really the goal, right? Is to make sure that we are helping in a way that other people feel encouraged to help others, to encourage people, hey, you're going through this hard thing. Counseling works. Counseling impacted me. And that's how the counseling center started, right? So I think that is so important for people to recognize that whatever they are experiencing, they're not alone and to share what they learn in their own counseling or their own outreach talk or whatever, wherever they're getting their mental health tips and tricks, to share those things so that other people can understand that they are having a shared experience, that loneliness and hardship and grief and these things that are just heavy emotions, they're not unique to them and that they need to make sure to be taking care of themselves. So,
ah, I'm freaking out. And the other thing I want to say here is that, when we go to work, first of all, kudos to Frostbank and any and all
yes.
companies that make sure that this is a priority, because I look at that when I hear it as another perk, if you will. You get your insurance and you have your 401ks. And what about
Yes,
have support, mental health support? That is a big
absolutely.
deal that people should look for when they are going to companies looking for jobs, I think. And
Yes.
hey, I'm going to get y'all to come talk to the construction company and to
Oh, yeah.
a beautiful team of entrepreneurs. This is so fabulous. I just appreciate again what you do so much.
Oh, of course.
And the counseling center is just, I could get a little emotional talking about it. And Bill and Susan, Nick in heaven above, dear Lord our God, but just beautiful Terrell and Spencer and Scotty and
Yeah.
Maggie and those littles. We thank you.
Oh, well, I so appreciate you talking about all of these things and bringing light to NFCC because it's people like you and this podcast and the people listening who can really make changes for us and the ability for us to make more changes in other people's lives and support everyone. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Hopefully I'll see you soon and have a
Yes.
wonderful and thank you again for being just an awesome human.
Oh, well, of course. And thank you too. It was so fun.
Bye. Thank you, audience. Spread the word.
Bye.
Spread this to people. Let's do it.